5 or More Questions with Tommy Black. We're calling Jeff Schroeder from Smashing Pumpkins. Here we go.
Hello.
Jeff Schroeder.
How you doing, man?
How you doing? Good.
Good.
Many moons.
I know.
Where are you right now?
I am in Madrid, Spain.
Wow.
We play tonight. It's 7:30, but we play at 11:30, so can head over to the festival soon.
Pre-festival. It's festival season out there, right?
It is, yeah. I've been out here for actually 2 fucking months. I haven't been home in 2 months, so
wow.
So we play. So we have a show tonight, and then a show tomorrow night in Lisbon, and then I go home finally.
Yay. Who all is at the festival besides yourself? Everybody?
Yeah. I mean, the headliner last night was Bon Iver,
Cool.
and there's like Iggy Pop played yesterday too, and like Perry Farrell's new thing played, and tonight it's The National and us.
Cool.
And then tomorrow is The Cure and Prophets of Rage.
Wow. Cool.
So yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's start from the beginning. You were on your way. We were like getting a PhD at UCLA, right? Like as a lit teacher.
I was in. I started. That was like in early 2000s. I started my PhD at UCLA in comparative literature, and then as I was actually kind of towards the middle or so, or kind of 3/4 of the way through, I joined the Pumpkins, Smashing Pumpkins, and did both. Tried to do both for a while, but eventually it was like, I would come back from tours and stuff and be like, okay, if I had enough time, I would try to enroll in classes and whatnot. But I realize now in hindsight it was completely unrealistic.
Yeah, that's a big deal. Were students noticing things at all, or?
Well, no, because I think the thing about UCLA is like the student population is like really young. I mean, like undergraduates are like they're like born in an era where they're like they don't know.
Yeah.
There's completely different styles of music.
Got it.
So it was nothing, but yeah, and then once but now that I think about it, I really go like. I struggled with the decision for so long, but now I'm like, what? Yeah, I obviously made the right decision because the academic market for literature professors is strangely super flooded, and it's like the pay is horrible. So, even though I really was into it, but it was like, do you want to play rock and roll for a living, or
Yeah, not a hard decision to make.
But
that's 2 huge freaking things at the same time.
Yeah.
So what year did you join Pumpkins?
End of 2006, but I played like my first show with the band 2007. But yeah, I kind of joined the band it was like kind of end of 2006.
Dang, so we're hitting 13 years.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Jesus.
Long time.
And before Lassie Foundation, were you with Joel in Lassie Foundation?
Well, Joel Patterson from Blackboard Jungle, and now at Gene Loves Jezebel and a bunch of other bands that he plays with. But we actually first played together in a band called The Violet Burning.
Oh, yeah.
That's how we met Joel. So
I
was through that. Yeah, that was like during your Sparkler days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Call outs to all the family. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, cool.
And so, yeah. So there's Violet Burning, then Lassie Foundation, and then Smashing Pumpkins, yeah.
Awesome. You just recently did this record with Rick Rubin. I mean, when you were sitting there working with Rick Rubin and James Iha and Jimmy Chamberlin, how was that?
It was pretty crazy. I would sit there and, we'd be sitting there in the room playing, and because we were cutting kind of basic tracks, but only keeping drums. But, Rick really likes to record with the whole band playing.
Yeah.
And since we didn't have a bass player, I was actually playing bass.
Wow.
For the basic tracks, which is kind of scary because, like, guitar, if you make a mistake, it's kind of like flies by. But as as a bass player, it's like no one notices the bass until you play a wrong note.
Right. You know.
And then as far as we're only keeping drums, and so Jimmy's just like was on me, like, don't be pushed, don't be rushing, and so it's like, yeah. But I remember it's like playing there, standing there looking, and you looking through, looking, I'm like, wow, there's Jimmy, there's Eha, there's obviously Billy, and then I looked at it, I guess, and you're like, wow, and that's Rick Rubin through the glass, how am I here? You know what I mean? It was cool, and it was really great, and to record at his studio, Shangri-La up in Malibu, which thankfully was didn't get damaged in all those fires. It was a really, I mean, I've been doing this long enough now to where I know when to go, like, you know what, take a moment and take this in, because this is pretty cool stuff. This doesn't happen. This isn't going to happen every day.
Yeah, but you deserve it, man. You deserve it. That's awesome.
Oh, well, thank you. No, I mean, the thing is about music, we all, anybody who puts their heart into music deserves it if their heart's in the right place. It's just, the music industry is brutal, man. It's just, who ends up becoming successful and for why. It's like, if we all knew the reasons why things happened, it'd be different. But it's just, it's a lot of it's like, it is always hard work, and it's being prepared for when the situations come your way.
Right.
I think that's really the only thing that you can say. But yeah, that was fun. That was a fun experience. And what was cool about making the record with Rick is that he forced us to work like way faster than we normally would. I mean, that record, like recording, not mixing, but like actual tracking for 8 songs was done in like 3 weeks.
Wow.
Which for Pumpkins, that's like, we'd work on one song for 3 weeks.
Right. He's just like, get it down and move on.
Yeah, well, we know, his vibe is definitely, he kind of likes things, his production style is to be less produced.
Yeah.
I mean, he wants it to be more like the raw essence of the band. And I think for getting the with James coming back and stuff and getting the ship up and running, I think it was a smart way to kind of just get everybody involved, not overthink it. And I think what really happened with that record is originally we weren't even supposed to make a record with him. Is that we announced the tour, and management and Live Nation was like, hey, as a kind of tour promotional item, a new song would be great for press.
Wow.
And then it was like, and Billy had just done his solo album with Rick, so there was like, well, why don't we have Rick Rubin produce the track, and we'll do one track. And so we got together and recorded a bunch of demos. So we had about like 15 demos that we recorded very quickly, like in a week at the Village Recorder. And then so we went over to Rick's place on the first day and played him all the demos. And then he was like, he's like, okay, like, he wouldn't choose one song. We just thought he was going to choose one song, and then after a few days we realized, oh, now he wants to make a record.
So
because
cool.
He's like, I really like 8 of these songs, and I think his thinking was like, hey, you guys have had kind of this burst of energy, you should document it. And and so that's really how that record ended up happening like that. So it was fun. It was, I don't think that we'll work that way again. Like, I think, more for Pumpkins, like it's when we go in the studio, we kind of hole up for a while and need to have time to like really kind of dig into the material, but a little more. But I think for what this was, and I think he was right to kind of capture what was taking place at the time. So it was fun.
There's a reason why he's done. He's a genius. There's a reason why.
You realize, like, it's just he's not a producer and like where he's like, hey, like, he doesn't. I mean, he does get involved in arrangements and in keys and stuff. He'll be like, can you try a different key? Because whatever. But, he's not like a super handholder where he's like, he's not like Mutt Lange where he's going to go over and every background vocal and everything. He's more like a big picture kind of guy, But he, from the moment you walk into the studio there, he creates an ambiance. And that makes you really puts you in the best kind of creative space that you can be in. And, so, yeah, you kind of see why he's had such a successful track record.
Wow. The Rick Rubin atmosphere.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, I mean, it's a great place. You look out the window, you're in the control. You look out the window, you can actually see the ocean. Like, you know, I mean, you usually don't see anything in the studio. You don't even get to see outside.
No, you're like you're holed up in a cave. You know.
Yeah.
That's cool. Back to your festivals. I mean, well, how these are big crowds. I'm imagining what 40, 50. 40,000, 20,000.
Yeah, I mean, some places, some of the smaller places, it'll be like anywhere between like 25,000 to anywhere between, some of them were even like in Germany, like Rock am Ring, Rock am Park. I think you're talking like 70, 80,000 people out there. It's
at that point,
big.
When it goes from 20 to 40 to 70, is there that much of a? Is it the same room?
No, there really isn't. Like it's hard to kind of gauge.
Yeah,
it's like whatever. And the funny thing is when I first joined the Pumpkins, the first tour that we did in 2007, we played a lot of these festivals, and I was. I mean, you knew me back then. It's like, dude, I played some clubs. You know what I mean? Like, so to go out and play these festivals, like it was scary because I couldn't enjoy it because I was just, I was just trying to like play my parts right and not fuck up the songs, and you know what I mean. And, you look out there, and so coming back and playing these festivals as basically, we didn't headline every show, but most of these shows we've been headlining. It's to come back and be able to thoroughly enjoy the experience now and look out there and go like, wow, like again, you just stop and go, this is cool stuff. You never know you got to take each day as it comes, because you never know what day is going to be the last. You don't know if someone's going to get in an argument, or I hope not. And right now the band is getting along better than ever, but you never know what could happen. And so I don't take it for granted, because I know what it's like to not be able to play those festivals. And so it's cool. It's really cool.
That's a reoccurring theme with these calls. It's like they're like, you don't take it for granted, and
right. Because when it goes away, you're like, what happened? Where'd everybody go?
Yeah, but no, it's cool that you're not thinking too much about it and you're enjoying it, and that's freaking awesome.
I know I sound like Paul Stanley. You know what I mean? This is cool shit.
You sound exactly like Paul Stanley. Speaking of Paul Stanley, Guitar Heroes. Guitar Heroes, nice Paul Stanley segue.
First Guitar Hero would have been, Ace Frehley for sure.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, of course, because I was born in 74, but my brother was born in 66, and so he started really getting into Kiss 77, even before the Love Gun era. And so I grew up with Kiss posters in the house. Yeah. So Ace Frehley for sure. And then when I started, playing guitar, I was definitely into, I liked Eddie Van Halen a lot, but I wasn't like a massive Van Halen. I was definitely more into Steve Vai and George Lynch and Satriani. I kind of got really into those guys, and still really love them. And then, so those are definitely my guitar heroes to this day. Like I even recently have gone to see Vai and Satriani.
Now that's technical stuff. Does that tie in with, the PhD thing? I mean,
I guess maybe. Well, you know what it is? I think it's when I get into something, I don't graze things. Like I kind of go in all the way, and so those kind of guys who were really players. Yeah. I was attracted to that, and and then in the 90s, I got into a host of alternative players, but. The funny thing is, even though I play in the Pumpkins, it's like I don't really listen to any of those guitar players anymore, except Billy and James, because I play in a band with them.
Right.
But I don't go home and crank up. No offense to great bands, but I don't go and crank up Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. Right. I don't even really, But I still listen to. But I still listen to Kiss. I listen to Kiss, and I listen to.
Well, you're playing with
Dokken.
top shelf guitar players in your day job, of that genre, so it's not your day, you know what I mean, but you're playing with top shelf guys in that genre. So you know who we just booked at Viper is Uli John Roth from the Scorpions.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's played with us many times. I love Uli, and he's such a. I mean, if you get a chance, to talk to him, he's just a wealth of wisdom and information, and just a really sweet human being. Among and he was, and he's a sadly kind of overlooked guitar hero, because he really is this kind of link, between like 70s rock, like Hendrix and kind of Yngwie Malmsteen. He was really the first person to kind of do that neoclassical thing, and but I think someone like Ritchie Blackmore really kind of gets attributed to it. And although but if you listen to Ritchie Blackmore versus Uli, Ritchie's still more of a bluesy type of player, where Uli, like, and even the Scorpion stuff, was definitely doing like more of the classically influenced hard rock kind of stuff. So.
Right. Cool.
Yeah.
Who else? It's intense. Who else is, like you said, George Lynch jumped up with you? Uli jumped up. What other guys, like inspirations or heroes have jumped up with you while you've been doing shows with the Pumpkins?
Yeah, George Lynch was one. Yeah, he was great. I'm trying to think who else is. I think that's it as far as guitar players. We
right.
Yeah, we haven't had anybody else.
Okay.
We haven't had anybody else. I mean, we had like Rudolph Schenker played with us once.
Wow.
But but that was he didn't play any leads. But
right.
he played, and but it was cool because you got to hear, like, you realize, like, when you get to play with these guys, like on stage, you get to really hear them play. You realize, like, man, his right hand is the sound of the Scorpions.
Wow.
Like when he was playing, the way he plays chords, it's like, you're like, wow, that's the sound.
Wow.
It was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, while
really
we're
cool.
Guitar nerding, another Jeff acquaintance, another Jeff that I play with, he wants to know germanium or silicone fuzz pedals. What do you prefer?
I do like the germanium because I feel like it's a little more less gain but more character for sure.
All right, that's no more nerding. No, cool, good to know. Peter Hook jumped up with you guys too, right?
Oh, Peter Hook has
Bass.
played with us many. Yeah. And and actually I just because his son Jack is our bass player.
Amazing.
And and so we had some time off in Manchester, so Jack and I actually went up to Peter's house the other day and went on a long hike up in the hills of England with Peter Hook the other day. Yeah, he's awesome. And actually, he tours around solo with his band Peter Hook and the Light. And not the last time, but the time before last that he played Chicago, he invited me to play with him, and I got to play like 8 Joy Division songs with them, and so that was really special. That was a cool thing to be able to be on stage and hear the guy who wrote those bass lines play them.
Wow.
That was a cool thing.
Big influence. He's great. I mean,
amazing.
And you get to play with his son all the time.
Yeah, and the thing is that with Peter Hook is really, again, a lot of people don't really know who he is, but don't realize, especially coming from LA in our era that we came out, like, there would be no James Addiction, and Eric Avery would not have played the bass the way he played the bass if it wasn't for Peter Hook.
True.
Yeah.
Big influence.
Yeah.
Great player.
Yeah.
You got a new thing, also a project, I think. Britt told me you were doing it at Parker's place or something.
We did. Well, it started with Rick, and Rick's a busy guy though, and so we recorded and co-wrote 2 songs with us, and we ended up using one of them that he co-wrote, but we ended up re-recording the song, and I actually haven't even I got to send him the newest version. But Rick is awesome to work with, and his songwriting, I mean, his production is amazing too. Right. But I love like writing songs with him.
Yeah,
that was I mean, he's just got a cool vibe and a cool ambiance. But so but the band is called Night Dreamer, and it's just me and a girl vocalist, female vocalist, and it's it ended up being it's more of an electronic record. There's actually no real drums. It's all drum machines, mostly almost all synth bass, even though I played a little bass here and there, like over the synth, and I actually had Jack, Peter Hook's son, play on one track. But it's kind of more of a textural thing, you know. Cool. There's kind of like synth, and it's but I play guitar. There's a ton of guitar on it, but it's really electronic kind of music, and it's really came out, you know, because the vocalist, she's 14 years younger than me, so she's young, you know, younger, you know what I mean? And so she comes from this newer place of music, and so when we first started working on the music, it was like real drums and like regular bass, you know. She just felt like it felt a little too dated, and so she really pushed it more down this route, and I was like open-minded enough to be like, well, okay, well, if it sounds cool, I'm open to it, and it kind of started sounding interesting. So yeah, I'm really excited about it. We just finished we did an EP. It's called Treasure. It got mastered, got the mastering done like a week ago or a week and a half ago. So it's just finished. And so now we're just getting ready to trying to figure out how to play live.
Is this band based in LA? Or this project based in LA?
Well, I'm in Chicago and she's in LA, so so it's just kind of like we're just kind of figuring all that stuff out. But I'm pretty excited about it, and so we definitely want to, you know, play live, and so that's just trying to figure out like, you know, like how to do that since it's a total studio creation. You know what I mean? It's like
how it translates.
Like, okay.
Yeah, come play the club. Come play the club.
We'd love to. We'd love to. I love playing. The Viper Room is such a great sounding room. Such, you know, it's an awesome place to play.
Yeah, the wood in that place. You played there. Well, you played there a bunch of times, but the last time you played with Pumpkins, I think, was around 9 years ago. At the club. That
was so fucking fun, man. Like, we blew the roof off that place, man. It was rad, you know what I mean? Like, that was just so fun. So that was like one of the funnest. I mean, I played a lot of gigs with the band, and that's like one that you'll never forget. It was so fun.
Right. Did Billy enjoy the Viper Room gig also?
Oh yeah.
Cool.
That was he did. No, that was we actually have at my, you know, my dad's house, there was a bunch of photos that people took, you know, backstage, and you know, if you see, those was a lot of smiles. Like we had a good time that night. It was fun.
You blew the bar open that night. It was I remember.
I felt like what's that song? What's that movie, Valley Girl? Isn't that where the
You felt like you were in Valley Girl.
I felt like I was in the Plimsolls in Valley Girl.
That's awesome. So that's cool. Okay, you're based in Chicago, you said now I remember I heard you were living with Billy for a while in Chicago earlier on. Are you still living with Billy, or what's it?
No, he made me get my own place.
It's time to get your own place. Billy's like, you gotta move out. What's it like living with Billy?
It was fun. No, it was cool. It was really sweet of him, because I was really going through, like, you know, it was like one of those periods of my life where I'm like born and raised in Los Angeles, you know, and I just like, you know what? I really felt the need, like, okay, I got to shake it up. And, you know, it was kind of ending one period of my life. And, you know, and he was like, hey, he suggested, why don't you come live with me for a while, see if you like it. You know, he said, you know, put your stuff in storage in LA, come live with me. If you like it, you can, you know, stay, or if you don't like it, you can go back, and it's no big deal. You know what I mean?
Cool.
Yeah. And, that was in 2013, so it's been 6 years since I left. But I think, to be quite honest, I'm ready to come back. I'm ready to come back to LA.
Yeah, Chicago's a cool place, though. But, you know, running around with Chicago royalty in Chicago, it's got to be fun.
It is cool. You know, you know what? But it's strange, Tommy, because I think I'm just too much of an Angelino, and I just don't. Like, even though I like Chicago and I met tons of great people there, like when I was trying to get like a new musical thing going, I just couldn't get like the right synergy.
Yeah.
And I ended up having to come to LA to actually do it, work with Rick, and just like, you know what I mean? Like, and work with these other, and then all of a sudden, like within 4 months, finish the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like where like it was like years of trying to get stuff going.
No, you're right. It's a different musical mindset. Yeah,
It
you're.
is.
Yeah,
It is.
yeah, yeah.
It is. Yeah.
The, yeah.
Because in Chicago, there's no industry left, for better or for worse. So bands just kind of do what they want, which is cool because there's no lure of like, well, we might get a record deal or whatever, a song placement or something. I mean, it's just like there's no music industry there. Where LA, people still move from all over the world, to try and make it in the music business.
I call it musical denial.
Yeah.
We're all in. I'm still in musical denial, and the cool thing about working at the Viper is that you're surrounded by music every day, So it's like it keeps me in musical denial.
Totally.
The Stairway to Heaven thing on YouTube at Madison Square Garden. I mean, playing that solo at Madison Square Garden and just killing it. And what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, that was fun because when we were started rehearsing for the tour, right before we started rehearsing for the tour, Billy sent like a kind of proposed set list of and we saw like Stairway to Heaven on the set, and I'm like, okay, he's gonna want to do some weird deconstructed version of Stairway to Heaven, and so like a couple of days before we started rehearsal, Billy and I got together for lunch, and we're kind of going over the set, figuring out like, because this, James was coming back. We kind of were like, well, the three, we got to figure out who's going to play like what on each song. So we go in with a plan, and so when we started talking about Stairway to Heaven, I'm like, okay, like, so we're going to do some weird version of it. And he's like, no, let's just do it like it is. And we're like, I don't know. I'm like, really? He goes, no, it'll be cool. And because I think that he already, because we played like a really long show. It was like 3 hour, 20-minute show.
Jeez.
And I think he knew at that time, like, you're going to just need something that's like playing arenas. Like, what's the most arena rock moment that you could do? And you're like, Stairway to Heaven. And, it was like a high point every night. It really did work. You know what I mean? And so, and so then I was like, well, I'm like, you're always ready. You're like, well, I'm like, well, you can't really just play your own solo.
No,
you got to play the
yeah,
solo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
so you guys flipped a coin. No, I'm kidding.
No, he was like, he's like, I'm not going to play guitar on it. I mean, he's like, I'm not going to play guitar. He's like, so he ended up playing piano. So we did. The only thing that we changed is he played the intro on piano instead of him, and I did like a piano guitar thing instead of just straight guitar. But other than that, we did it a very faithful. It was, it's funny because it's one of those songs where like everybody kind of knows it, but you don't really know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you had to go and actually really know. And I mean, the first couple of times we were just kind of laughing and smiling because you're like, Jimmy Chamberlin was like, man, I don't think I've played this on drums since junior high. You know what I mean? but how cool to hear someone like as accomplished on the instrument, on the drums like Jimmy Chamberlin played Bonham.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And it was cool. It was actually really cool. And every night you're playing it, you really learn to like, wow, this truly is a great song, like truly great composition. Like it's, obviously it has all this cultural baggage with it, but when you really get down to it, it was cool. And and people loved it every night. Like every night it went over really well. And one night we had what's her name, Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, and that's she came out and sang the end, and just it was really cool.
Wow.
Yeah. She has that upper red. She can do the super rock voice. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they used to do a residency at the club like early, and they just watching them blow up. It's great. But
it's cool. They're one of those bands. You know what I mean? That like they really did it like old school. You know what I mean? Where they where they just really built their following through playing live, which is cool. Which is cool to see that some bands can still do that.
Still there. It's still there. Oh, sorry, back to Stairway. So what was, Madison Square Garden, watching that video, and like you're like lifting off the stage during the solo pretty much. It's was anything going through your head, or were you just like, I don't want to fuck this up?
I would get, to be honest, like when I play solos on other songs through the night, I just kind of be like, whatever. You know what I mean? That one always did make me like a little bit, like I'd be like, okay, I have to really focus here because when you're playing someone else's solo, it's really not how I would play really. So it's like the phrasing, like kind of the note, like where the pushes and the pulls are and the phrasing and stuff is like you have to actually focus a little bit. And then when you start thinking, to be honest, I would get a little bit nervous. Like after that song was done, I just ride out the rest. So like I just relax, like smoking a cigarette. I don't even smoke, but you know what I mean?
Like, okay, that's done. Got it. Now I can relax.
Yeah. It was cool. We played in October. We played in London, and we did a photo shoot for Kerrang earlier, and Scarlett Page. Jimmy's daughter did was the photographer, and so she stayed for the show, and she was shooting in the pit, and so it was like that was kind of a trip to like look, go up to play the solo, and there she is taking photos of like Jimmy Page's daughter taking a photo of you while you're playing the solo. The Stairway to Heaven. It was pretty funny.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, any memories of the Viper Room? Anything come to mind when I?
When I think of the Viper Room, first and foremost, I remember one of the coolest things I ever saw there was, remember the Foundations Forum? Mm-hmm. Remember that? So it must have been like 92 or maybe it was like a little bit later. Maybe it was like 94 or 95. They had they had a show there, and I actually, in a band I normally wouldn't go see, but I went and saw Motorhead there. Wow. And it fucking was amazing. So, seeing Motorhead at the Viper Room was super cool. And then I also, of course, when I think of the Viper Room, I think of Blackboard Jungle, because I've gone so many times just to see the Blackboard Jungle reunion, and that's always such a great time. But I've also seen tons of, like, I remember that I saw that band, A Place to Bury Strangers, there. Wow. And man, they blew the roof off the place. They are a band that, like, that was like a really great show. And I've been there. So to me, and then at one point Jamie Scrapp, when he was still working, that he had me come down, like, sometimes, like, doing DJ sets in that bottom bar, and that was super fun. Yeah. So it just feels like home. Mm-hmm. When I'm there, like, it just feels like home. It's just such a great place.
Yeah. Well, when you're back in LA, home's waiting for you. Mom's here for you. Well, cool. Well, awesome talking to you. And
yes, thanks, Tommy.
Okay, have fun out there. Be safe. Take it easy.
I gotta get ready. I gotta go put my spandex on.
your spandex and your Ace Frehley boots, your moon boots.
Totally. So,
all right.
I'll talk to you soon, man.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.